Hi, I'm Kara Dickinson.
I'm Marcus Winslow, and this
Marcus
is my
Winslow?
wife,
Hi,
Marcia.
Hi, nice to meet you. Would you mind if we called you Marcus, or would you like Mr. Winslow?
No, you can call me Marcus.
Marcus? Okay, this is my partner, Casey Kraft.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Casey. I'm
Nice to
Marcus.
meet you.
Please have a seat. Did you have any trouble finding the place?
No, not
No?
at all. Gave good directions.
Okay, good.
Well, is this your first time in a law office?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And how did you hear about us?
Advertising.
Okay.
Good to know that that works.
Right.
I always like to hear good feedback.
So today, this is a free consultation, and so we're just going to talk today, and we have about 30 minutes to speak with you, just to trying to see what what issues you have going on, and maybe if there's a way that we can help you. So that's why we're here today. Do you have any?
No, I sure hope you can help me, because I'm very upset.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. First, we're just going to go through some of our office policies.
Okay.
And then we definitely want to hear everything that you're going through, your situation, and then we'll let you have time to talk about it, and we'll kind of be writing notes, and then come back and maybe clarify some things, okay?
Okay.
And
I
then-
hire you guys. How much you gonna charge me?
Well, today's free, like Casey said. If we decide that we're going to be representing you, then we can talk about fees later on.
Okay.
After we hear, because we want to be able to make sure that, we hear your whole story. We don't want to quote you something and then it not be appropriate
Okay.
for your situation. Okay? Basically, everything that we say today is confidential. That includes everybody in our office, our staff, our secretary, and that also goes for anything that's said, with Casey and myself. And we're both just here basically because two legal minds are, better than one, and we want to be able to help you the best we can.
Okay.
We're also going to be writing notes today. Hope that, you're free to write some notes as well if you want to. Don't feel any pressure or obligation. It's just for us to help us make sure we completely understand everything that's going on.
Okay.
Okay. And to tell you a little bit about us, we've been in business for about 10 years. And we do a lot of different areas of law. We actually started out as partners in another firm and then decided to go out on our own. And we've actually been on our own for, like I said, 10 years. And we do lots of different, like bankruptcy, family law, and then any other kind of like constitutional issues. And so that's pretty much the history of our firm. Did you have any questions about us or anything like that?
Because constitutional law is what I think I need
Okay.
today.
Well,
So.
that's good.
Well, it seems like you're really eager to tell us everything that's going on, so we'll just let you talk for a little bit.
Okay.
We'll be taking some notes, and
Sure.
feel free to tell us anything, and we might come back and ask you a few questions. If you're
Okay.
right. Is it okay if your wife stays in while
Sure.
you talk?
Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
feel comfortable with that? Okay.
She can fill in the blanks. She always does.
Okay.
Well, my sister was shot. The story begins with my sister getting shot about 3 years ago randomly at a mall. And she's in a vegetative state. She did not die, and we don't expect her to die, but it's been very heartbreaking to see that every day. And I've always been a big gun control person, and I don't think, guns are far too prevalent in our society, and I want to see. This just kind of put me over the top as far as being a gun control advocate. And so what we did to honor my sister and her name is we started quietly protesting with whenever there would be a victim of gun violence, regardless of the age, we would get a picture of that person through newspaper accounts or something, and we would put it on a poster. And we would just walk outside the funeral real quietly, and I started a group, and the name of the group is called How Many More. And over the last few months, we've kind of picked up a few people. I think our number is probably close to 50 people that are regularly showing up at these funerals. And every now and then we get a few extra people that I don't really know and we're not really familiar with, and they'll show up sometimes, and then sometimes they'll not show up. it's a little concerning because we're not trying to take the group over the top. We're really a peaceful group. We don't advocate violence. We're against violence. We're just trying to bring the issue to the forefront and get more people and politicians, get a sort of a political uprising so that we can get firmer restrictions on gun control. But what's happened is I wanted to kind of escalate it a little bit in a non-violent way. But what's happened is we peacefully protested on the corner of Sycamore and Main downtown, and we picked Friday afternoons from 4 to 6 o'clock so that we could get the drive home crowd and get as much notice as possible. But we're walking on a public sidewalk with our posters, and we're not chanting anything, we're not making any noise or anything like that. But the gun advocate groups started showing up, and they were yelling and screaming hateful things at us, what we consider hateful things, at some of the funerals. And then they started showing up downtown and kind of working against us. And so instead of us peacefully getting our protest out, I've got these gun crazies yelling stuff back at us, and it sort of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish. And so lo and behold, they arrested me for protesting and said I didn't have a permit, and I'm on a public sidewalk, public property, and they arrested me for a peaceful protest. And then, so I decided, well, all right, I get arrested for that, so I'll go get a permit. So I applied for a permit at the city, and they denied my permit in 3 days.
And it usually takes 7 days, they said, to hear from them, but they immediately denied it.
Okay.
And so I want to challenge my arrest. I think it was on unlawful grounds that they arrested me. I don't think they have a right to arrest me for doing what I was doing, and I want to get a permit. I mean, they give permits to everybody for everything. Why would they not give me a permit?
And remember, we're on public property. We make sure that we don't get, when we're at the funeral homes, we don't go into the funeral homes, we stay in the public area where where legally could stand and be, you know, anybody could stand there.
Okay.
So can you guys help me get a permit and help me over, you know, I don't want a conviction on my record for being arrested for that.
Of course.
I've got a clean criminal history. I don't have anything on my record, and I don't want to have anything on my criminal record.
Of course. Oh, we completely understand. Maybe before we get into some logistics of the law and things like that, I just want to go over a few things just to make sure that everything is correct.
Okay.
And maybe ask you a couple questions just to clarify a few of the things that you mentioned.
Okay.
So your sister was shot 3 years ago at a mall.
Right.
And so ever since then, you've been really advocating gun control. You've gone to different funerals after someone has been a victim of gun violence.
Been to a bunch of funerals,
Okay.
and we carry the posters of all the previous victims, so we keep them and carry them over from funeral to funeral.
So
and
you're adding them as they
right,
come along.
and so we've got a lot of people carrying posters for the impact. Not that we're, of course, advocating more people die, but as more people die, we've got more posters, and the impact we feel gets greater and greater as more time goes by.
And we are putting on our posters some of the pictures of the victims, you know, that comes out in the internet, the picture,
Right.
public property, so we are putting them on our posters because we want to make sure, you know, our message again is how many more, we want people to be aware of this, how many more people have to die.
Right. So on a Friday between 4 to 6, you usually go protest?
We had been doing that,
Right.
but the last one they arrested
Right.
me, so I applied for a permit, and they denied my permit, so I'm kind of stuck. I don't know where to go from here.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the actual day that you were arrested and the date?
It was last Friday, so today is
It's the
January
25th.
25th.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Saturday 24th, so it was January 17th,
Okay.
Friday the 17th. And we've been protesting on that corner for a couple of Fridays before that without any incident until the gun crazies showed up. And they arrested some of the gun crazies
Okay.
too. So it
both
wasn't
sides.
just us, they arrested a few of them as well.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what happened? The police were called to the scene?
I don't know who called them.
Okay,
We're protesting peacefully, they're yelling
When the
stuff
gun
back
crazy
at
started
us.
to come and yell at us, it's probably, you know, if somebody probably thought there was gonna be a fight, or
okay,
somebody had to have called. We
right,
did not.
okay.
So was there any kind of like disturbing the peace charges? Is that kind of what happened?
They just arrested me for an unlawful protest.
Okay, without a permit, correct. Okay, so then could you tell us a little bit more about when you applied for the permit, what day that was? And then you said 3 days later it was denied, when normally it takes a 7-day period.
Right, we applied for the permit, arrested on the 17th, and we applied for the permit on Monday the 20th. And on
And at that time,
Thursday the 23rd, they denied the permit, and we were gonna go back on Friday, the 24th, but we couldn't do it because the permit was denied, and that's why we're in your office
Okay.
today. Cause next Friday, I wanna be back out there
Right.
protesting.
Right, okay.
Okay. And I have another question about the protests outside funerals. Have you had any negative response from family members or anything like that?
A couple of times in the last few. At the beginning, there wasn't any obvious objections from any of the families because we've always done it very quietly. But what's happened at the last couple of funerals, the gun crazies started showing up there, and it's sort of that, I wouldn't really call it an altercation, but they're verbal yelling at us and chanting a few things led the families, I think, to be uncomfortable. So I don't think they're uncomfortable with us. I think they're uncomfortable with those guys. And because we were very quiet all through the months and months we've been doing this, and without any negative feedback from the families at all. But we could tell the last couple they're uncomfortable, but we think it's because of those other guys.
Right. Could you tell us a little bit more about the arrest, and were you given bail and then another court appearance to come, or what happened?
They handcuffed me and took me away, and I bailed. They asked me to post bail, which I did.
Okay,
It was just $100,
$100.
which I could do easily. But it really upset me that they arrested me in public for doing nothing.
Right.
I mean, I have the right to stand on public property, and as long as I'm not hurting anybody, creating a disturbance, the other guys are the ones creating the disturbance, and they arrested several of them, and they should have arrested them. They were the ones making all the noise.
Right.
We weren't doing anything wrong.
Well, what is your next court appearance to? Is there an appeals process that you?
I don't know. That's what I
Not
need you
any
guys to look
paperwork,
into.
I think once we pay the fine, but the thing, again.
You're just given a fine. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is that, again, they told us when they told us we needed a permit, they immediately told us that it takes at least 7 days
Right.
to get it. And then again, we got denied immediately.
Right.
So that's one of our concerns. Why?
Okay.
You know, they didn't even wait the 7 days. Immediately we're denied a permit.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is basically that you want to make sure that the arrest is off your record. Would you also like to try to fight the fine that you were given?
Sure.
There's also a fine
Yes.
involved? Okay. And then you also want to make sure to get a permit as soon as possible.
Right. The permit's
Okay.
the most important thing to me because we can't get our message out unless we're able to publicly demonstrate, and we should have the right to do that. We've been doing it for weeks and weeks without any incident, and the gun
Right.
crazies show up and cause that disturbance, and I think we're suffering as a result of those
Right.
guys showing up. And if we have to get a permit, they should have to get a
Of course,
permit.
of course.
And they should, I don't want them to be able to get a permit at the same time and place that we get a permit because it defeats our message.
And
Right.
they're coming back, the gun crazies have those, they, instead of posters, they have like cutouts of guns.
Oh.
And they kind of intimidate our people, and
They're pointing them at us and stuff. I mean, we know they're not real guns, but it's still, the image of that is
Right.
counterproductive to the message we're trying to get across.
Okay, so I think we're really understanding everything that's going on, and just to kind of move things along and make sure that we can help you the best way possible. Casey's gonna go into, some of the law that could be,
Okay.
associated with your situation.
Okay, well, it seems like what you have going on is like a First Amendment issue for like the freedom of speech. I'm sure that you've heard, about that, even if you have no idea what it's about, you've heard of that.
Sure.
And so really, it sounds like, on public places, the city, I'm sure, can require a permit. I understand that completely, why they would require a permit. However, I'm not understanding why they would deny your permit. And so that would be something that we would need to look into. And with the way you're doing it, you're not disturbing anybody else. And so it's kind of hard. I know that there have recently been a lot of when there was protesting at some funerals, such as the for military people that were like gay or lesbian. I know
Oh, right,
there
those
were
crazy
a lot of
Kansas people.
issues,
The
yes.
Kansas church people.
And they made
We're not like that.
yeah, that's good. And they made them stay 500 feet away or something.
Right.
And so as long as you're keeping your distance and you have the permit that the city requires, it doesn't seem that there should be any issues with that.
Right. We didn't even need a permit until the gun crazies showed up. I mean,
Yeah.
they were letting us, whether right or wrong, they let us do it before the gun crazies show up and everything goes nuts. I mean,
Likely, yes, you were getting away with it, but you would have still needed a permit, but likely nobody ever, bothered to call the police or anything like that, because they weren't bothered by you, and didn't maybe even realize, the situation. So obviously as it escalated, then, when the authorities gets involved, then they realize then there's no permit, so that's definitely obviously your major priority, so.
Yeah,
Right.
I would think maybe that I've noticed in the past that sometimes when you apply for a permit and they feel like that maybe it's agging on the other side, that maybe they're gonna deny you the first time to see if you're really gonna put in the effort to make sure that you get it.
so when
Sam?
I file for a permit, is there, when they reject it, do we have a right to a hearing or something like that on the permit?
Yes.
And you guys will, if we hire you, you'll go represent us at that hearing?
So what we're looking, like Casey said, basically that it was a First Amendment issue. So our alternatives now, obviously you want to take action. So doing nothing isn't really even in the spectrum right now.
No.
So what you want to do, a very low cost, fast, easy way to get their attention is if we were to draft a letter on your behalf as your representation, and draft a letter to the agency who is providing the permits, and also if we could get information on the other side of the gun advocates, as you were saying, and see who's organizing that group, if we could write a letter to them as well to tell them, to cease and desist, that something of that nature.
Do you think there's any chance the city not gonna permit both of us at the same time, same place, are they? Would they allow that?
Yes.
I think
that
they
they
probably
would.
could.
Really?
Yeah.
But we're not necessarily going to give them indication that, we have rights to that area, because then that would give them, leverage to go get a permit first, or, try their hardest to block your permit. So we would just write it saying that, we would appreciate it if they would.
I'm not locked into
stop.
that location.
Okay.
I mean, we could, that's the
Okay.
best location, but it's not the only
Okay.
location, so
Well,
Perfect.
we're open to moving to a
Yeah.
different corner or something, especially if it avoids those guys.
Well, hopefully we can get a good response from the agency who does the permits, and that way, if there are other locations, we can find, what, is appropriate for them, and if that is just not gonna be possibility to stay in your same place, if we can maybe work with them and see other options that you have.
Okay, so if we write a letter, that doesn't sound like it's very fast. I'm not gonna be back on the corner on Friday.
Well, we would also file another petition to them to provide us with the permit. So if that doesn't work, unfortunately, that's the quickest that we can do as of now if you do hire us, because the next option would be going to court. That's also going to go along with your arrest and wanting to fight a criminal record and fight the fine. And we can also talk about the other issues that are involved here with the court. But unfortunately, that's not an overnight process. We would have to file a claim, and it could take a few months to even get into court, just for your First Amendment issue. If we could get some paperwork for you about your arrest,
Okay.
maybe any paperwork that they gave you about your booking or anything like that, or that would really be helpful because we can look into an appeals process for you, which could be a little bit quicker than just filing a claim.
Okay, so if this is gonna take that long, then what happens if I show up on the corner again this next Friday, even without a permit? They keep rearresting me. I'm
Oh, yeah.
okay with that as long as it's $100. If I get somebody that can get me out of jail. How many times do you think I can do that before they do something more severe to me?
I definitely wouldn't recommend continuing to like agitate the situation. It could really be hurtful to you because you will be arrested multiple times, and the fine could be increased every single time, and it could be a more severe penalty. Like they could issue you, say that you're disturbing the peace or whatever it is that they want to cite you with, and then they could hold you for a longer period of time, and maybe next time they won't give you bail, because every time you have another offense, then they're gonna up the charge. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that right now. I think the best option, what it sounds like, is to go ahead, write the letter, and send in paperwork for another permit. Hopefully that'll really get their attention, and we'll be able to get that as soon as possible, but I can't guarantee that it'll be in the next week. I would say that as far as the funerals go, you might be able to get around the permit if you ask permission of the funeral home, which would involve the families as well.
Well,
Like
we stay off the funeral home's
Okay.
grounds, so we're technically not on their property.
Right.
We're on the public sidewalk outside the funeral
Right.
home.
So if you actually get their permission and talk to the families as well, you might be able to get permission to actually be on the private property, and you wouldn't need a permit for that because you would be on there with their permission. And that would also hurt, the other side who's coming to attack you guys verbally and such, because if they're standing on the private property, they can be arrested because they're unlawfully there and you are lawfully there. Or if they're on the public property, that gives you an opportunity to call the police and they get arrested again. And, obviously that's in their court to deal with that.
Now, there's several funeral homes in town, so will you guys write the letters for me?
We could definitely write a letter for you. It would probably, the funeral home may not say like yes for all of them. It might be actually better to get permission from the family, because they're not going to say, oh yeah, you can come onto our property while we're hosting a funeral for another family. So you might have to get multiple people involved there.
Yeah, I'm not
so
comfortable with that,
You're not
because the whole
comfortable,
idea is not to
Take
bother
away.
the family at the
Right.
time that
Right.
they've lost a loved one.
Okay.
That's why we're quietly protesting
Right.
outside. We're not really outside their view, but we don't feel like we're bothering the family.
Okay.
And writing them a letter and asking them for permission at a time like that just seems counterproductive to
Yeah.
what we're really trying to do.
Okay.
Well, it sounds
hang
like
on.
you. Okay.
Could you also bring us in, like take some pictures of some of your signs?
Sure.
That would be something helpful. And then I don't know if you have any pictures of maybe like the gun protesters, but if you were to see them, that would be something, or just like
Okay.
some sort of
Well,
description of what
we can take some
what
of
they
the,
look like,
the
because,
gun crazies next time.
Yeah, because I mean, with the way that their signs are set up, like that's something that also the First Amendment talks about, is like the content of a sign, as to whether like how much freedom you have to carry whatever it has on the sign. And so, but because like the pictures you guys use are online and they are free to use, but like with theirs, like it could be sending a wrong message, from their gun use, and so that could be something else that we would be able to look into.
Their message just seems so hateful
Right.
in comparison to ours.
Right.
And then the way that they're doing it and how aggressive they are in comparison to us,
Right.
it just seems out of kilter. I mean, they're trying to drown out our message, and we're trying to prevent them from doing that.
Right.
Okay, good. So, what it sounds like is you want to get started right away.
Yes.
So if, since you're both here and you can both look this over, you're welcome to take it with you and look it over at another time as well. But this is our fee agreement. It's a $1,500 retainer, and then we bill $150 hourly. So the hourly time that we spend will come out of that retainer. You'll get a monthly bill updating you on all the hours that we spend, tracking all of our work that we do, and if we don't reach the $1,000 by the end of it, then you'll be getting that $500 back, which is the difference between.
Oh,
the
so if we
$1,500
give you 1,500
Yeah.
up front in a retainer, and if what you do only costs us like $500 for your billable time, and somehow it gets over that fast, we get $1,000 back.
You would get $500 back. Our
Okay.
minimum is 1,000.
Is 1,000?
If you
All
don't
right.
hit that $1,000 mark, then you'll get that $500 back. If you go over, we'll continue to send you monthly statements and update you on the time about that it's coming to a minimum amount left, and how we can handle that from there.
Okay, do you have paralegals in your office?
Yes, we do. We have
Okay, what rate do they work at?
Actually, for this case, they will be working at $100 hourly rate. But
Yeah,
from this perspective, we're looking at mostly our work right now.
Okay.
Because we'll be drafting a letter. The only research that they would be doing is maybe finding out more about the arrest. Make sure that we get all the records from there, but that shouldn't
Okay.
take a lot of time. That's just mostly them getting research for us.
okay,
So you would just initial at the bottom of here, and then sign and date here, and then I'll sign and date as well. And if you are ready to do that now, you're more than welcome to. And
I think we
our
just get it
secretary,
started right away.
okay,
Alright.
and our secretary would be handling that $1,500 deposit as well. So
Okay.
if you do that, we can get started right away. We will need from you, like Casey was saying, any pictures that you can provide us of the other side and your side, all the court documents that you received from the arrest as well, and that permit that you requested, if you have any paperwork from that and from the denial of it, from when you were denied, we would appreciate all that paperwork so that we can get started right away
if
and
I can't
contact
find,
the
if I
agency.
can't find the arrest stuff, is that public record?
Yes, we would be able to
Okay.
find that public record. It'd be great if you have it available. We definitely need the permit information, since that obviously is a priority to you, and we want to get that done as soon as
We
possible.
can get that to you right away.
Okay, awesome.
And we would
So-
make copies of anything you
Yes.
brought in, so it's not like we will be keeping your originals.
Yes. And so our next steps would be in the next 3 days, if you can get that to us so we can start right away. If you haven't gotten back to us, thank you very much. If you haven't gotten back to us in the next 3 days, we will give you a call. Either Casey or myself will call you and make sure that we're on track and that you can get that paperwork to us as fast
I'll bring
as
it back,
possible.
I'll bring it into you
Okay.
tomorrow, whatever I have.
And
whatever I can
can we
find.
use our Visa card and we'll just pay you the deposit now also?
Yes, yeah. Our front desk will handle that.
Okay, and if you have any questions for us, you can contact the office, and we get back pretty quickly. We get back within the at least 24 hours, but
Yeah.
that is the longest that it
Okay,
ever
you've got
is.
an email address on your card on the
Yes.
front
Yes,
desk?
yes, we do.
Okay.
I actually have my card right here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And so, please feel free to contact us. Like we said earlier today, Casey and I are both here to help you as best we can. So it's great that we're both available, and if one of us is out of the office or something, then the other one would be able to handle any issue that you may have.
Okay,
Okay, so you understand everything that's going on, and we've agreed that we're gonna draft the letter
yes.
to the permit agency and submit another permit
And-
application.
And draft up a letter for the funeral homes
Okay.
also, but I'd like to look at it before you send it
Okay,
out.
sure.
We don't wanna do anything that upsets
Yes.
those guys, but I think I'd rather do it to the funeral home than to the
Okay.
individual families, cause we're gonna be
Right.
sending a letter all the
Yeah.
Oh,
time.
of course. And if you could get a list of all the funeral homes that you've
Okay.
been going to.
Right, there's only 3 in town,
Three,
so we're
okay.
just gonna get all 3 of them.
Yeah. And that's part of our agreement with you. Like, we will never send anything out that you've not seen,
Okay.
because that's something that that we definitely pride ourselves on. That's something that you have to do legally, is to make sure you guys see what we do. because it's not, and typically when, in the past, when we have done like documentation, we actually like send you guys a copy of the letter that we sent to them as well, so that you have it for your own records.
Okay.
In keeping with our policy, like Casey was saying, since you do want this to go really quickly, if we can keep in contact with you over the next week, like you said, you're gonna come bring paperwork tomorrow, but we also need to make sure that you're available to look over that paperwork before we send it out. So, since it is such a priority to you, if you're available at that contact number that we got, when you came in,
Yes.
is that the best number to
Right.
contact you
You
at?
can
And
reach
you'll
me on my
answer that?
cell all
Okay.
the
And if you,
time.
and we check our email all the time, so
Okay.
if you need to send us something
Okay.
through email.
So
go ahead and
we
do
will
that.
make sure to contact you before we get that out, and hopefully, get in touch with you as soon as possible when that's available.
Okay, and I'm gonna make a decision, just so you know, I'm gonna make a decision probably pretty close to Friday as to whether we go back out and protest on Friday, depending on where we are with that, so.
Right, like I said, without the permit, it's probably not the best idea, in your case to be doing that, but that's, a personal decision that you have to make.
I'll let you know what
Without
we're gonna do
permit,
before we
okay.
do it, so you can be
We
ready.
appreciate that.
All right, well, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very much
coming
for
in,
coming
and we
in.
look forward
Thank
to
you.
working
Thanks
with
so
you.
much,
Nice
we
to
feel
meet
so
you.
confident that you're
Thank
gonna
you.
help us.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
It's
you.
much.
great to
Nice
work
meet
with you, and look forward to hearing from you tomorrow as
Okay.
you bring in that paperwork.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good job, guys.
Alright. Send that to my producer, please.
Yes.
What,
How'd we
what
do?
time was that?
We started at 11:44, and it's now